Femme House fan, what's happening? It is your girl, her mix-a-lot. I am here with the legendary, the pioneering, the innovative, the queen of house music, if you ask me. DJ Lady D, what's happening?
What's up? Hi, I'm excited to be here on Femme House. Uh, it's quite an honor, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, man. I'm so excited that you got this Black History Month on lock for us. You're about to turn us on to so much great music. You texted me earlier and you were like, hey, how deep is too deep? And I was like, no such thing. Teach the babies.
And I welcome that with open arms because I listen to a lot of, satellite radio, and it's not a lot of deepness in those seas. And so when I thought about me, my partners who are also going to be joining me this month, in our takeover, in Chicago, because this is Mecca, we'll take you all over the world, right? We'll go deep and dirty and underground, and you know, then we could be up here in the commercial world, in the major label artist remixes and bootlegs, and so I was like, should we be on the commercial side? Should we be on the deep side? But you say, yeah, you do whatever you want because
What's Monique and Black Coffee say? Deep in the bottom. That's where I'm trying to go.
yeah.
I ask everybody that I talk to this, like their origin story and how they sort of got to this moment. This moment is 30 years in the making for you.
It's hard
How
to
did it all
believe.
begin 30 years ago? What was you doing that changed you from Darlene Jackson to Lady D?
That's a good question. 30 years ago, I was, sort of just playing around in my house. Sometimes people would come over, we would entertain, and folks would leave and they would be like, "You're so good." And they're like, "You should do this. Why aren't you doing this?" I don't know. So I was being really shy because I'm kind of an introvert. For the most part, I am. And I think DJing gave me the ability to really be seen in a more holistic way. And so, I wasn't just somebody's girlfriend. I wasn't, just, a person that you might see in the club dancing, getting down. But I actually had something to add to the conversation. And so, just by chance, the girl named Begonia, who does Basic NYC, she was my roommate for a while in Chicago, and she used to throw little underground parties, little loft parties and whatnot, and some raves. And so she was like, Darlene, in her German accent, you are too good. I am put you on a flyer. I was like, oh, okay. She said, yeah, be here at this time. You are playing. I was like, okay.
That's
So,
incredible.
so I showed up, and it's a funky shoe store on the north side where all the club kids used to get their, 7 to 8 inch platforms, and they used to have DJs on Saturdays, and I went down there with my records because it was vinyl, playing my records, and the promoters came down. I didn't know that she had invited all her friends, or she had passed out flyers. I didn't see the flyers. So when people started showing up, they were just standing in the corner looking. I didn't know what they were doing. They were like examining me and listening. And then after that, the requests started to flow in. So I guess I had done okay. I wasn't quite sure. That was the first time I was playing in front of people in an environment that wasn't my home. So 1995, August 1995. So 30 years ago this
That's
year.
such a powerful example of why I love house and, as you call it, like the house way of life. It's just like that is community practice at its best. That is somebody in your community, in your inner circle saying, yo, you got it. You should go try something new. I bet it'll be lit. And like it literally, just that changed your life,
It
gave
really
you a whole
did.
new life.
Yeah, and I mean, who told the shoe store that they should have DJs? You know what I'm saying? Like that placemaking, gave another outlet to the community as well. So that was pretty cool and clever, and it definitely carried on for a while. And so yeah, after that, it was on and popping. It really just snowballed.
I know that you're a passionate advocate for house music history, especially with your roots in Chicago, and you know, an educator in your own right in that history. And you're just listing out all the documentaries that you're in or and that are coming up. And you, as you know, Frankie says, like, house music is disco's revenge. Teach the children real quick. Black History Month for me and this programming, and why I wanted you specifically to take over is like this, like we're reclaiming the narrative around here. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
for sure.
So teach the children real quick. Give them a quick little 90-second history lesson and why it's important for you to preserve that history.
Yeah, so like most major music, it starts with black roots. So house is no different. House, people often think it's white, started by white people in different places, not Chicago. So the biggest rundown is all of these historical things happen to create the perfect environment for a house to be born. And it couldn't have happened anywhere else but Chicago. And Chicago, for that reason, we might fight about who was the person or who was, it wasn't one person. It's a collective energy that happened. You had children of the civil rights movement, okay, whose parents, a lot of us from two parent families, doing well, double income, and we had means and ways. That means we had access to disposable income and transportation. So we were going everywhere, doing whatever we want. You couldn't tell us nothing. And so you have to understand the liberation of house music is what, we were providing ourselves. So it's a youth born movement coming from the south and west sides of Chicago, from black and brown and gay kids, period. And so the environments that set that up, we had radio in our pocket every week going out to over 2 million people. In addition, young entrepreneurs, these are teenagers driving around to businesses and saying, oh, you close at 10? Oh, can we, bring in our sound system? Oh, we can? Cool. We'll pay you this much. Great. And we can go till 2, till 3, till 4. And okay, cool. Oh, and we got somebody who can draw, great. Got somebody who can, write something clever. You got somebody who's a creative director who can think about a concept and a fun way to get people out. We were agencies, okay? They were full
Yeah.
on agencies, event planners, and nobody taught them how to do this. They just figured it out. Okay, so enterprising, entrepreneurial, spirited, and all of those things kind of came together at once. It was a perfect storm. But you're coming out of, Martin Luther King marching down the streets, getting thrown bottles, the 68 Democratic Convention, and, Mayor Daley and people shooting in the streets. This is, all of this stuff set us up to be children who decided, you know what, we're not asking permission, we're just doing it. And that's what people have to understand. You have to have the wherewithal, understand your civics, understand the lessons, but also be able to say, I understand where you're coming from, but that's not for me. And I'm just the same as you, right? So we just grew up being taught that we were equal, everything was, all things being equal, we were the same as everyone else. So we weren't confined to, there have been a lot of studies where people say in Chicago, some people never leave their block or the 3 mile radius in which they were born. And they might stay there their entire life. They might die there. And so, you could look out from my house on the south side, the very far south side, and see downtown. You could see the Sears Tower from where I live. And I'm a good, probably 10, 12, 13 miles from that. So that was inspirational. And if you didn't get on a bus and go somewhere and say, what is it that I'm looking at? And let me find out what that was. Your parents would disown you, right? Because they'd say, here's a bus token, go somewhere. Like, go learn the
Get out of
city.
my house.
Yes. And so we were, I was taking my parents' car at 13, driving down to Water Tower Place on Michigan Avenue, seeing Ferris Bueller's Day Off, bringing the car back home before they got back from Sunday morning bowling. So we did what we wanted to do, and no, you couldn't tell us anything differently. So, so yeah, we took that spirit and out of that, all of that house music made its debut in Chicago, and we kept it going. You know, our queer brothers and sisters were doing the house music culture, and so when the first kids were going to the warehouse, they were seeing the culture. They loved it. When they were taking these parties back onto the South Side, the ethos of them was everybody was okay. Like the queer kids really showed them like you can be as free as you want to be, right? But what the mass of the black kids who loved house and got into it coming off of the disco era was we gave you the safety of numbers. So you could have thousands of people in a room, and the queer kids were free to be themselves out in public in mass. So they didn't have
Mm.
to hide. They didn't need a members club anymore. They had the safety of all of us who were going to step in and never let them be, disrespected or unprotected. So that was the way I think that we supported one another. The allies really came through, and the girls showed us how to be. So it was all that. It was a very mutually beneficial relationship.
That's such a powerful example of like the best of community. You know what I mean? Like what community is supposed to look like, the reciprocity of it, the inspiring one another to lean into one's gifts. The hey, it's okay to do this if it's okay that I do this, and we protect each other so nobody can tell us shit. And this idea that like everyone's freedom, like we're only as free as everyone is free. You know what I mean? I want to be free to be a straight boy that walks down the street wearing an earring or an extension in my ducktail and not have everybody beat up on me because I'm gay, but I just really love fucking David Bowie or Boy George, and that's just how I roll, right? And a trans kid being like, I need to be able to change into my real self as soon as I hit the club because I have to leave my mother's house as my fake self so that she doesn't kick me out the house. And everybody coming together, especially black and brown kids who are often stigmatized for being intolerant and for like bullying queerness and all these things. Family is family, community is community when it's operating correctly. Everybody is, like you said, shout out to Nate, free as you want to be.
Yes, yes, I couldn't agree more. So
How
beautifully
does it feel
said.
for you to be 30 years in the game and to see, I don't even know if I want to, do I want to call it a renaissance? Not really. What is it, how have you experienced the change, we'll say, to keep this is, shout out to my bosses at Sirius XM Electro, keeping it professional. But
Yeah,
you know how
right.
black people can have a whole conversation without saying words. Like we could do that right now about what I'm really trying to say.
I know, right? So 30 years in, what's amazing to me is that I didn't know I would have this type of longevity. So it's the fact that it keeps going, keeps getting better. That's incredible to me because you would have thought like there were times when things got really good. I thought, oh, I'm reaching that next level, and then you don't, and then you start to get a little more thing. So I just kind of realized that it's cyclical. It's sort of like a Ferris wheel. Like you be coming up, you be coming up, and then you go back down. Oh, this, So I think that that's pretty normal, right? The fact that for 30 years I can do that, but then something in the last, people keep saying like, you have really taken off. You've really taken off. I feel like I've always been here and that I'm
Sure.
still here. I don't know if I've really taken off, but if that's the perception, then I'm cool with it. Uh, if you think that I'm having the best career right now, it's probably because I am. And I think, I'm older, I'm more tempered, I'm wiser, I have, um, way more, I guess, tentacles into the world. Like, I feel like I really do know my purpose. Really do know what I'm doing when I get on the decks. When you're 10 years in, you're like, I got it. I know it all. When you're 20 years in, you're like, dang, I thought I knew it all, but I'm learning more right now. 30 years in, I do feel like I have a handle on this stuff for real. Like, I know who I'm mentoring and why I need to mentor. I know what I need to tell people when they're asking certain things. Like, I really am coming from a place of wisdom. It's a beautiful thing. So, yeah, I feel like 30 years has taught me more than, I could have ever imagined. I can't even understand what the appeal is. Because I'm not young and I'm not thin and I'm not white and I'm not all the things that they keep putting out here. So,
Well, shit, it's because you're good, sis. Like, it's because you know what you're doing, which is, when we think about youngness, we think about youth, we think about weight and just the psychology of aesthetics. Oftentimes, we place such a premium, especially in the music industry, right, on that we forget, like, bitches got to know how to use the decks. Like, bitches have you just have to know, like, listen to music and know how it works. And I think that one thing that will always endure, especially with the purity of house music and dance music, is that you have to be good. You just have to. There's only so far that you can go if you're faking it. And you're clearly not faking it.
thank you. So, yeah, something to be said for authenticity and the real thing and not as a buzzword. So, that's cool.
How does it feel to be um, a saged elder in the game, like to have ascended to a level where people are seeking out your insight and seeking mentorship, and people are calling you as a pivotal piece of house music history to be in the documentaries and to be on the radio shows and to be in the retrospectives. What is that? How does that sit with you?
Yeah, I think that if you were going to talk to somebody, I think I'm right up there in the top five of people who lived it, dreamed it, slept it, ate it, bled for it, sweat for it. I mean, I did all the things. I journeyed through nights chasing lights, took flight, you know. I wanted it. I got up every day, pulled my records out, put them on the decks, played from morning to night. Went out into the club, listened to my, idols, danced all night, went to the after party after that, danced some more, went home, took that inspiration, got up, put on my records and played all day. You know what I'm saying? So I had my training days and I had my days when I thought I was going to leave this all behind. I couldn't. It was so deep in me, like, and broke back. He's like, I can't quit you. I couldn't quit it. I couldn't quit it.
Sure.
So it really did become ingrained in me, and I became so associated with it that that people couldn't deny me as part of that story. I mean, I got to see Ron Hardy. Very few people got to see Ron Hardy who are still playing and living today. I had enough business acumen and enough wherewithal to not get so caught up in the moment that I let it burn me up. I got away from a lot of the destructive parts of it to really imbibe the essence of it and to live the ethos of it, which is, you're here to help other people. You're here to feel good about yourself. You're here to elevate your fellow human being. You're here to liberate others. And so I couldn't take myself seriously in that role if I was out here all messed up. you know. So I had to develop self control. You know, it's
Mm.
easy to want to party all the time. It's fun. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that to me, I took on a motto that said moderation is sexy. And I think that's where, you know, I still shine because, yeah, I didn't let it eat me up, you know, because it will eat you up, it will spit you out. And I saw it happen to people all along the way. And, you know, I'm sorry for my friends, you know, I miss them. Many of them are not here anymore.
Mm.
And so, yeah, when you start taking yourself seriously, you won't, you know, let those things happen. So,
What would you say to Darlene Jackson? She's maybe about, let's say, 10 or 11 years old, and you, Lady D, right now, are sitting in a room with her. What would you say to that girl to make sure that she keeps going, to make sure that she reaches where you are right now?
yeah, little D, Dion. So she's such a dreamer. I
Mm.
mean, she just loves this world. And there are going to be some, you know, hard times. There are going to be some mean people. Going to come across a lot of um, jealousy, weirdness, you know. None of that ever is going to matter. Um, the things that worry you or make you feel insecure are so unimportant. And keep believing, keep your pure spirit, keep your beautiful open heart, and you're going to be just fine. That's all I would have to say to her because she's just the ever eternal optimist, you know. She's
Mm.
a realist, but she's so optimistic. So,
Well, sage wisdom from one of my favorite mentors. I'm so grateful that you exist. I'm so grateful for the ways that you show up for me without blinking, without thinking twice. And I'm so grateful for what you've given the culture. I'm grateful for what you've given me as a black femme to leave to my black daughter. I'm grateful for the ways that you keep us here, culturally, sonically, the way that you just go waving our flag around the world, and preaching it loud and proud. Like that is, you know, the oral tradition of historically black music, of West African music, of everything that we are as an essence, as a people. You preserve it, and you yourself are a living, breathing embodiment of preservation, and I'm so grateful. We're so grateful, and it's an honor to be able to give you flowers while you're here, give you flowers while you're active, give you flowers while you want them, give you flowers while you can see them and accept them with your faculties and enjoy them. And I thank you so much for being a part of the Femme House community and for everything you've done to make sure that fucking things like Femme House can even exist. Like, thank you for everything.
listen, I'm so excited that y'all are carrying on the torch. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to show you not only myself, but what Chicago and Chicago House is all about. It's truly my pleasure.
Long live Chicago!
How long live it?